Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight. This time we're not safe and sound, not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight. No, this time we're not safe and sound, not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you?
Oh no. I gotta... It kills the song. I was gonna switch and I was gonna be bopping along. But it kills the song. Damn it. No, it's too late. It's ruined now. How you doing, Blunty? Welcome to the live stream, everybody.
Hey, Joshua. I am doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good too. I'm doing good too. I always forget that when you switch scenes, the audio source is tied to the scene. I could set it up a different way, but I haven't. So I was going to switch over and be like bopping along. I'm always bopping along. I'm just not on camera.
Got to add your camera to the other scene and then do the preview.
I mean, that might even have already happened. Here we are. Welcome to the vid live stream, everybody. Now I feel I kind of want to. It's. Hang on. Media source, add existing, no good. Okay, is it? There we go. You can't hear it, can you?
I cannot.
Sometimes when I'm thinking about
Just as
us,
awkward. It's just as
before
awkward.
we got lost and we parted, back to back we would
Possibly the weirdest
carry
way of
on
starting a live
and
stream. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I'm Joshua Bardwell.
I am ItsBlunty.
That's true. We're doing our intro. I thought we'd do our intro a little differently today. And this is the FPV news with JB and ItsBlunty. See, we're going to get a little shtick, right? We are here to talk about all the news in FPV that is fit to discuss. And we're glad you're here. Yeah. Kevin
Absolutely.
McCarty wants to know if you're... Sorry, Blunty, I'm talking over you. Perhaps we have a little delay.
You're good.
Are you on a webcam, Blunty? No, you're on your Sony phone, right?
I'm on my phone, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the way we have it framed, it's zoomed in and it's like digital zoom. It's like,
Looks good to me.
you know, it's a whole thing.
The chat has variously suggested that we super chat you a new microphone, which actually your mic is pretty good. But
yeah,
it's a Shure SM57, 58.
58. I think it's just the way we stream everything. The world of live broadcasting.
Yeah. Get you a new camera. What? Oh, we got a news item that we've overlooked from T-Score there, Blunty. Let's add that to
the same thing. Yeah. Bubby FPV is in the chat.
Yeah. Well, let's open with that little piece of news before we even go into the overview. Bubby FPV is an official Rotor-Riot pilot.
Yeah. Congratulations. He's been ripping it like crazy. Seen all kinds of awesome shots from him already. So
yeah.
Only something we should have expected.
I mean, it was bound to happen. Now, the real question is who's getting fired or quitting in a dramatic explosion? Because you have to maintain the balance of the force, right? You can't get a new Rotor-Riot pilot without, I don't know. Who's Bubby going to push out?
Hopefully nobody. Hopefully it all fits.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. Congratulations, Bubby. You're killing it, dude. Keep killing it. Stop being so good, Bubby. Stop making the rest of us look bad. Thank you guys so much for being here. Very happy. Samuel Rivera says you have a more Jesus glow with this camera. It's the same camera. I think maybe your white balance or something. It looks good. It looks good. Your white balance is super neutral.
I was gonna say this is other than it moving back and forth, this is what you get. So it's kind of the world we live in.
Plot twist: Bubby kicks out Drib. The king, the new king.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a Rotor-Riot episode for a while. I haven't been traveling since the pandemic. Now that I'm vaccinated, I no longer have that excuse. I've been kind of enjoying not traveling, so I have to think of another excuse.
It does start with a B. So.
What's that?
It does start with a B, Bubby and Bardwell. So.
Oh, I see. We'll fill the same slot. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, what do we got today, Blunty? What's in the news today?
All right. So today we're going to talk about TBS. There's a bug in the Tango 2 firmware that caused a 30 hertz update rate. Then that firmware was removed, and then a new bug was found that was fixed before. So we'll talk about that and what that all means.
Mm-hmm. Is 30 less than 250 hertz? Just
quite a bit.
Oh, interesting.
Happymodel commits to making 2.4 gigahertz ExpressLRS. It looks like they're going to be shipping those pretty soon, including some small receivers and full-size TX modules. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. ExpressLRS is pretty freaking cool. So.
Yeah. OpenTX 2.4 is not here yet, but we've got a cool feature that you guys will want to check out with the sync. So maybe you don't have to run nightlies anymore for some fast update rate. There's a free FCC hack we shared last week with the DJI FPV drone, and it turns out that might have been hacked from other hackers. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, so you have the choice of whether to pay the original developer of the hack $100 or whether to get it for free from this other site that they claim stole it from them. But did they really?
Got a neat website to find out if you can get a Tango 2 somewhere in stock instead of waiting, quote unquote, 2 weeks.
When people keep asking me what do you know when Tango 2s are going to be back in stock, I should just start saying 2 weeks. But no one will get the joke, and then they'll just be annoyed at me. That's the answer whenever something TBS is going to be in stock.
We've got a community spotlight from Dave C. FPV. He's got a neat little project for creating multi-cell lithium-ion batteries with a clip.
No more soldering.
Yeah. Well, soldering and then no more soldering. But yeah.
No more soldering direct to the cells.
Yes. Betaflight 4.3 has some improvements. We're going to review a couple of those that I think are really cool and people should know that are coming. Hopefully we'll see Betaflight 4.3 release candidates soon. This is some more things to get you excited about it.
Yeah, okay.
Holybro looks like they might be doing some recalls again soon. They've asked some manufacturers to stop selling the metal F3, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. The real question is, have people already bought them and need to know about this? I guess they'll find out, huh?
We'll do a WeBleed Whoop Series update. Just a reminder that qualifying is almost over. So we'll take a look at maybe one of my fast laps on that.
Yeah, let's see what kind of the standard is. This is a virtual race that anyone can enter, right? Including me.
Yeah.
Why haven't I
On
entered?
Velocitor. It's a $2,600 prize pool right now. So.
Wow, that's impressive. So there's still time to enter.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about the FrSky X20 HD. We've got a statement from DJI that says it's not DJI.
And I think the best way to sort of tease that one is to say, is DJI in the FrSky X20 HD? And you put like 10 question marks after it. It's fine. We'll tell you what we know. But that's going to come up last because we're going to talk about other things first. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this bug in the Tango 2. So let's nail... There's two issues here, Blunty. One is the bug, and we'll talk about what is the bug and are you being affected by the bug. And then the second issue is this question about GPL violations. So who is affected by this bug? Who needs to give a crap about this, and who can forget that it ever happened?
So as far as I know, it is basically as any external module on a Tango 2, but essentially it normally shows its face with tracer because that's what most people are using on a Tango 2 if they're not using Crossfire.
In theory, the multi-protocol module would be affected too.
Yeah, and Ghost I think would be Ghost Light would be affected since that just came out. But basically, if you're on 1.24 or 1.25 of FreedomTX, you're only getting a 30 hertz update rate for your packets, instead of whatever you were set to on the tracer, presumably 250 hertz.
And that to me, I mean, I would love to know how many Tango 2 pilots are out there flying tracer and going, oh, it's so good, man. The latency is so good. It feels so good. And they're freaking at 30 hertz and don't even know it just because I just eat that stuff up. It's all a placebo, you stupid sheep. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to write it. If you have a Tango 2 and you're using Tracer or Crossfire or Ghost or, no, not Crossfire, any external module and you're on those firmware versions, you're only getting 30 freaking hertz. So if you think that if you installed that firmware and you went, it feels weird, good for you. And if you installed that firmware and you didn't go like that, you can't tell the difference between 30 hertz and 250 hertz. Just accept it. It's all placebo. Okay, I'll shut up.
So that was 1.24 and 1.25 of FreedomTX. Wes Vardy, the guy who did the range testing we talked about a little while back, is the one who posted the bug on the TBS Lounge and a couple other places. Trappy responded and they talked a little bit about it, but at the same time he mentioned a couple things about GPL violations. So I looked into it, and from research I could do, it seemed like there may be an issue with GPL based on the public code that was available through TBS. So I made a comment to Trappy about that. Trappy looked into it, and Trappy actually pulled down 1.23, 1.24, and 1.25.
Well, and this is this matters because what should people do who are being affected by this bug? What version do they want?
Well, so it turns out they want 1.23. 1.23 fixes the 30 hertz update rate, but it turns out it also fixes a 50 hertz update rate bug that was previously in the radio, and that was on 1.21 and before. So if you're on 1.21 or before, or 1.24 or 1.25, you have some update rate bug, whether 50 or 30 hertz. And 1.23 is the version you want, and unfortunately that has been...
They pulled it down. So they pulled down the versions with the bug. They were like, it had something to do with the GPL. They were like, well, we're not going to distribute this because the source code anyway. They pulled it down, but they also pulled down the only version that doesn't have the bug. So if you're currently being affected by this bug, there is just literally nothing you can do, right?
Yeah. So basically, Trappy did say that as soon as they get to work, it sounds like today in Hong Kong, which is happening in the next few hours here, they'll be getting back into this, looking at what's public source code, trying to get everything caught up back to date, and then push back the 1.23 update when they can. Trappy is aware what's happening, but he doesn't want to push it back until they know they're not making a violation, or what they can reassess the situation when they get back to work. So I think they were off work for that time for a holiday,
Yeah, I'm going to put up, I was so busy ranting about this that I didn't actually put up the graphics. So here's the post on Facebook. This is all linked down in the show notes in the video description below. Here's the post from Wes Vardy pointing out the issue, even threw some sexy memes in here. Yeah, thank you, Wes. Thanks for taking the time to make those memes. And the response, here's a little back and forth between you and Trappy. Blunty, I'm so glad you're out there, because now I don't have to argue with people. And I don't want people to get the idea that I'm like, that you're like a sock puppet for me. You're not. And I actually go out of my way to stay out of your way. But a lot of the times you say something that I kind of might have wanted to say, but was maybe too polite or professional to say. And I'm just like, I'm over there going, I'm glad you're out there. Because there's a question about whether TBS is complying with the GPL here.
And I want to say, like, I want to make this, like, totally clear. Like, I basically asked Trappy, I said, as far as I know, this doesn't seem legal. Can you look into this? And he immediately removed that within 5 minutes of me making that post. He removed the firmware we discussed. It's possible some other is offending, and I'm not sure. But the fact that, to me, that he made such a quick response to that statement is kind of the opposite of what we see from a lot of major companies. You know, obviously, DJI would not have pulled firmware based on a Facebook message from one of us.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a bit hasty, maybe they pulled too much. But what I will say is, like, I do like that they're looking into it. And I do like that Trappy immediately started talking to someone. And as soon as they're getting back to work, they're going to try to take care of it. This is what I'd rather see than some total ignoring of the statements that we had for them.
I sometimes I am a real stickler for the GPL, and sometimes there's no doubt that the GPL is extremely onerous, and I don't necessarily insist, this is just my personal values, that people follow the absolute letter of the GPL in every case. When people are taking advantage of other people's work to make money for themselves, I feel like that starts to become abusive. And I'm not sure where exactly this would fall for me. Obviously, the main people who would need to complain are the people contributing to the project. So FreedomTX, which runs on the Tango, is built off of OpenTX. And if an OpenTX dev was saying, hey, you're violating the GPL, you're using our code, why aren't you publishing your source? That, to me, would carry a lot of weight. But I know that most people out there using the radio kind of don't give a crap and just see it as sort of drama.
For those of you that don't know, I see Beantime asked in the chat about GPL. GPL is the GNU public license. There's a couple different versions of it, and they basically are a open source sort of license that everybody can use and apply to their projects, that like have a pre-set up sort of standard for how you apply a license to your project. So you don't have to have like your own lawyer who comes up with your own documents and your own agreements. You use a public license like the GPL in whatever version you prefer, and that will support your project in whatever way.
Yeah. So I have every confidence that TBS has a real skill at skirting the line of technical compliance with the rules while still giving users as much as they want. Like they comply with the FCC regulations because the radio has the ability to lock itself to a region, but also they ship it unlocked and they leave it up to you, and then you just don't do it, and then everybody's happy. I feel like one way or another, if people raise a fuss, they'll find a way to do something like that with the GPL, and everybody will be happy, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hang on. Yeah, Blunty, go ahead.
We use a lot of numbers, so let's just real quick clarify. If you're on 1.23 on your Tango 2, you want to stay on that firmware. You do not want to downgrade to 1.21. Otherwise, there's not much you can do. That's what I would say.
We're getting some choppy video here. Yeah. Oh, geez, what's going on? No, it's not. It's not OneDrive. Nothing is running in the background, guys. I'm really sorry. Jesus Christ, 44%. Hang on, Blunty.
Okay.
We're having a network issue. Let's see here, guys. Let's see if we can get this sorted out.
If you could still hear, I guess the audio is probably still okay. 1.21 is better than 1.24 or 1.25.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I gotta look. I don't know what to do about this, Blunty.
Everybody's saying you have the 30 hertz bug.
Yeah, I do. That's pretty accurate. Give us 1 second here, guys. Let me see if I can just figure out what's happening. It is not OneDrive. I can assure you of that. That's not very helpful, but did it sort itself out? Oh, look, it sorted. No, it didn't. It's still bad. Fun. It's fantastic. Nope, my TX rate is fine. So then it's just a crapshoot what to do then. Do we reset the router? I'm seeing like 50% drop packets. The router is not overloaded. The internet connection is not overloaded. So I don't know why we're getting drop packets. It's a little weird.
Sounds like the audio is okay. So if we want to try it with bad video for a while, we could do that, or we could try to reset the.
Yeah.
Reordered it.
I think I'm gonna reset this stuff. Sit tight for a second, guys. We'll pick it up. We'll pick it up after I reset some parts. 1 second. Just sit tight, guys. I'm gonna lose YouTube. Start the stream. Yes. Okay. Hello. I'm coming back. Let's see if we're back. Blunty, I gotta. Let's see. Blunty OBS Ninja. Can I reload this source? How do I reload that source, Blunty?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sir. No.
Oh, I don't know. I'm in that source, so I can resend it, but I don't know if that will help.
That? Can you resend it?
Yep.
I'm gonna change my. No, we're still seeing 30% drop packets. It's still pretty bad. There you are. Something.
Okay, I just did what I normally do.
Yeah. Let me try switching scenes. Could try restart.
All right.
All right. Yep. Let's see. Just restarted OBS. Let's see if that worked. It did not work. All right. Crap. No. I got nothing. The next thing is to restart the computer. I'm at like 75% dropped frames, and I have no idea why.
That's a lot of frames.
What's that?
That's a lot of frames.
Yeah, you're going twice. You got I hear your audio twice.
Oh, gotcha. Fix it.
Crap. I don't know what to do. All right, let's just continue, Blunty, and see.
Okay.
Let me turn the bit rate way down. That's what I'm gonna do. Hold on 1 second. Streaming CBR bit rate 4500. Let's go down to 2500, 2.5 megabits per second, and let's see if that helps. We shall see. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with us. We are going to continue. Oh yeah, now it's at 0%. Interesting. Yeah, now it's fine. Just super low bit rate.
All right.
But there you go. Let's continue. Thank you for bearing with us, guys. Going to be a longer stream tonight.
All good.
Next up.
Yes. So Happymodel is going to be releasing the PP receivers that we looked at about a month ago for ExpressLRS, the 2.4 gigahertz 10 by 10 receivers with ceramic antenna. They've got those coming off the line, as well as some full-size TX modules for 2.4. So it won't be long until you guys can buy those from Happymodel. It's pretty exciting.
This is pretty exciting because the 2.4 gigahertz ExpressLRS receiver, I mean, number one, it's 2.4 gigahertz, which people, the smaller antennas are nice. The frequency band is nice. But in addition, it can go up to like 500 hertz, can it, Blunty?
Yeah, these will do 500 hertz, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And until now,
so basically,
you had to flash
fast as you want to go
to a ghost module, or flat, or build your, or like solder up your own module. But pre-made is nice for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. Thanks, Happymodel, for making those ExpressLRS hardware. There are other manufacturers coming out as well, but Happymodel is the first step, and it's pretty exciting.
Yep. I was going to say also, just a shout out, I got a kit from FatboyFPV. He's here in Colorado, but he has pre-made 2.4 gigahertz TXs and nanos and RXs and stuff you can buy in kits from him as well. So those are pretty cool. FatboyFPV.com. If you want to get one right away and you don't want to wait on Happymodel.
Yeah, really exciting. I mean, yeah. ExpressLRS is... I just did my control link roundup, and ExpressLRS is basically, it's kind of just the best. Am I wrong about that?
No, it seems like it does anything you want it to do. You know, they're using the same chips as the other competitors are using, but they're using them open source and properly. You know, it's kind of the best way I would put it. You know, you have turnaround for things with code in a published system. Like even with TBS, who a lot of people say are alpha or beta testing on their users, typically with firmware, you know, even them, they're slow to the punch with new features. You know, they want to test them internally. They want to send them to their alpha testers that don't get public firmwares. They want to make sure that it's run through properly because they're selling a product. ExpressLRS isn't going to be bound in the same way. And so you see a lot of improvements and a lot of different people pushing changes. And, you know, just because it's open, the benefit of open source, I think it's going to be the thing that most people will be using as we see these kits start to come across the industry. Because, yeah, I can't see myself doing anything but buying more ExpressLRS modules versus other things at this point, just because of where it's at and my experience with it so far.
Lava Chemist points out it doesn't do telemetry for ArduPilot. That is true. Yes. The reason I say ExpressLRS is kind of just the best right now is because it has extraordinary range and extraordinarily good latency, both at the same time. A lot of times when you're talking about the performance of a control link, those are the two things that you're trading off. And it does that by making very, very efficient use of the bits that it has. So it has some kind of compression for the aux channels, where each aux channel is sent as a single bitmap instead of a 1000 to 2000 servo value. Because they just acknowledge we're not driving servos with these. By the way, if you need to drive servos, and you're probably not going to want to use ExpressLRS. I don't think it would work that way. But for a lot of people, it is just the best compromise of range, latency, and other capabilities. But if you need like advanced telemetry for ArduPilot, Crossfire all the way.
Yeah, I will say 21 days ago, I think they merged in telemetry support for ExpressLRS. So there is some telemetry support. I know they are working on increasing that support.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, is that, you know, when they first started out, they said, we're going to make the highest performance control link that we can. And they said, screw telemetry. You get RSSI, you get LQ, and you get battery voltage, and that is it. And as a, you know, you got what you got. But they could always go back and say, you know what, now we're going to do something different, and let you have the option. It's pretty exciting. Yeah. So ExpressLRS, the 2.4 gigahertz modules coming from Happymodel, 900 megahertz modules currently available on Banggood, and this little ceramic antenna. Like, you don't even need an antenna. It's just baked onto the circuit board. Amazing.
I think that 10 by 10 weighs like 0.46 grams with the antenna on it.
With the antenna. Wow.
Yeah.
And for people who are saying, why are you saying it has the best range? I know that Wesley Vardy, who's the guy who's doing a lot of range testing now, he said he got ExpressLRS 900 megahertz at 100 milliwatt, if I'm remembering the details correctly. He got it out to like 30 kilometers, at which point he had to turn around because his airplane had no battery. What's that?
2.4 gigahertz.
What's that?
That was 2.4 gigahertz that he got out that far.
To 30 kilometers. Yeah.
33 kilometers. And he pushed his wing far as he could push his wing, yeah.
And he was still at like 99% LQ.
It was
So
90%, and there was like dips to like I was watching and it was like dips to like maybe like 78 or 79, and then it would like steady right back up to like 90 to 95% LQ at like 33 kilometers. And it's on a wing, so it's ideal testing situation. But yeah, it's 100 milliwatts at 2.4 gigahertz, and he's getting 33 kilometers. And this beats, the Tango, the Tracer, which was
for sure
at their ludicrous power,
Right.
and Ghost. It beat the Ghost is 350 milliwatts. So. Yeah, I think that's why people are saying this, because we talked about this a little bit before, but basically they're doing magic with their packets. Essentially, they're shrinking packets down, because some of the packets only need to have a certain set of bits, because you only need to have 3 switch positions or 2 switch positions. You don't need all 1,000 microsecond positions like a normal stick would have. So instead of a 10 or 11 bit packet, you have a 5-bit packet.
Yeah, and it's exciting because you say, well, I don't need 30, 50, 70, 100 kilometers of range. Okay, but how about this? How would you like to be able to have a tiny little ceramic antenna, which maybe it has much worse performance than like a wire antenna, but who cares? That takes your 100 kilometers of range down to 50 kilometers or 30 kilometers, and you can still fly every concrete bando ever and never fail safe. And have 250 hertz, 500 hertz update rate, and 99 LQ, or it's like you just get it all, and that's why I'm so excited about it.
People also want to make it clear that 33 kilometer test was 250 hertz, so it's not like he was on like a low hertz mode, so they could push range. It's pretty wild.
It's I don't think there's any debate. Like some people are like, well, why is range? Why are you saying that? I don't think there's any debate that ExpressLRS for range and latency outperforms everything else available today.
Yeah.
Okay. We both agree. Dragon
and people
Link.
are saying
Dragon Link.
People
Okay.
are saying Dragon Link. But Dragon Link update rate. What's Dragon Link's update rate?
I don't know. It's 433 hertz, so there's a lot of downsides to 433 hertz. For true long range, Dragon Link is going to win. But no.
Yeah. I don't think most people, I'm going to guess 98% of people here are not going to go 33 kilometers. That's just maybe a bold statement, but I'm going to say that's probably true.
The thing is that's, by the way, I'm putting a link to Wesley Vardy's channel down in the chat. People are asking for it. Here's his channel. He's got a bunch of different videos. Trappy's argument would be, I asked Trappy about Wesley's range test some time back, and basically his response was range tests or so 2016. His argument, I think, boils down to, he didn't elaborate, but I think it boils down to that range testing, we get so much range out of all of these that we don't really need to think about range. I disagree with that to some degree. To some degree, he's right. No, you don't need 30 kilometers of range, but you do need to maybe push through a couple walls in a bando. And 30 kilometers is going to drop down to like 4 concrete walls in a bando, maybe.
Yeah.
That goes down real fast. So I do think it matters.
At the end of the day, you never want to fail safe, but you also want to have as high of update rate as possible, so you get the best and the most consistent packet delivery possible.
Yep.
So if you can go higher in update rate and get better consistent delivery by shrinking the packets down, so you get your LQ better, and you're able to hold that higher rate, to me that's an improvement. Because again, like Crossfire is at 50 hertz. Maybe you don't notice the difference between 50 hertz and higher. I'm not sure that I do, but if you think you do, and most of the hobby seems to think they do, then you're going to want to go farther than that. Most people are flying Crossfire on 50 hertz, so they're not locking to 150, and they're flying out of their RFMD2 range pretty quick. So
yeah, and you might say, what's the range? Maybe you can go 60 dB of loss. Let's say I'm just pulling that number out of my butt, but maybe you go 60 dB of loss before you fail safe something like Crossfire. Well, that's like 4 concrete walls. So a concrete wall at 2.4 gigahertz. All my numbers come from Wi-Fi, which is 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz. So a little different on 900, but it's roughly 4 concrete walls. It's easy to get 100 kilometers worth of loss when you're flying in a building or concrete bando. So anyway, let's move on. I'd love to spend all night talking about ExpressLRS. I'm sure the audience would love that too. But let's move on. Hey, I heard that OpenTX was coming soon. It was going to be available right after Half-Life 3 came out.
Yeah, 2.4. Yeah, that's probably gonna. I think that lines up like 2 weeks after that, like right about just 2 weeks.
And there's so many cool features that we're wanting from OpenTX 2.4, like support for the Tango 2 is going to be rolled. You know how you can't use OpenTX Companion to manage your Tango 2? Well, once 2.4 comes out, it's supposed to get rolled in, supposedly. Support for Immersion RC Ghost. You don't have to use Ghost Nightlies anymore. All of these things, support for the support for the the Nirvana radio. That was the first thing I ever said. This is coming in 2.4. How long ago was that? A long time.
Touchscreen. Lots of people
support?
looking for touchscreen.
Yeah. Well, there's one feature in OpenTX 2.4 that the devs have decided to give us without making us wait. And what is it, Blunty?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So currently, right now, everybody knows Heartbeat Sync or similarly named Sync Pulses, basically, is crossfire shot, is what they know it as. But basically, it's the ability for the OpenTX side of the radio to sync with the external module. And so without that, on any version of OpenTX without crossfire shot or some other version of crossfire shot, like sync pulses methods, you basically have latency between when OpenTX sends a packet and when the external module receives the packet of the stick commands, the stick positions, or it'll be the other way. But basically, you have some interference with those times because they're not synced together. So Crossfire Shot fixes that. Other things fix that. And now in OpenTX, it looks like it'll be in 2.3.12. That will be for every external module, and every protocol will just automatically have sync pulses.
That's pretty exciting. I think I'm running 2.3.9 because that's the version that TBS's Crossfire Nightly build is based on. And there's a couple little things that were added in 2.3.10, 2.3.11 that I kind of miss. So it'll be really nice to be able to run a standard version and get Crossfire Shot. Pretty sick.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's keep moving. Since we have that little delay related to the internet connection. Next one is, what's next, Blunty?
All right. So next we're going to talk about, we talked about a FCC hack for the DJI FPV drone, and we shared a website. It was like the Devil company or whatever. D3VEL, but basically dronehacks.com, the drone hack software that people use for DJI drone hacks, alleges that unlocking part of their website was stolen from drone hacks, that they ripped it from them and they provide it for free on their website instead of making you purchase drone hacks.
Oh, Devil Team is in the chat. Are they the ones who stole it, or are they the ones who were allegedly stolen from?
I believe that Devil was the ones who allegedly stole it.
Devil, what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, if that is actually you.
If that is, I mean, it might. I mean, I'm clicking on there. I mean, it might be. I mean, I don't know why would someone do this?
Oh, there's a missing E there, but maybe.
Well, it's a 3. That's how they spell it. That actually adds legitimacy.
VEL, though.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
D3VL is their Instagram. No. D3VL.com.
Oh, okay.
Is that it? I mean, there is a D3VL. I guess I don't know for a fact that it's the same one. Look at last...
D3VL in the chat says, these are unsubstantiated claims. No code was stolen. It is a shame to see them claim this, and we would love to show you how we did it.
Yeah, so here's the counter argument. So there's this other company that was selling this FCC hack for like $100, dronehacks.com, I think it was, and they have their software that unlocks a whole bunch, not just the FCC hack. And then D3VL came along with this website that did it for free, and then the question is, did they, of course the other company is like, oh, they stole our technique, or maybe they just reverse engineered it the same as you did. It's not like you're the only people in the world who could have figured this out. And the fact that the solutions may have some similarity may be related to the fact that there's only one way to do the hack. So,
yeah,
I don't have an opinion on whether it was stolen. Obviously, they're going to say it was stolen.
Yeah, there's no way for us to know for sure. But the website exists, so
yeah, and it's free.
yeah, if you want to unlock your DJI FPV drone, you can still go to that website.
Yeah. You could decide for yourself. I'll show that letter again since, this is the word from the drone hacks people. They stole the software from us and offer it for free now. We have a lot of hours of work in this. So just because you put a lot of hours of work into something doesn't mean that if somebody else can also do it for free that you deserve anything. If they actually broke into your server and stole your code, or if somebody leaked it, then that's different. But if they worked it out on their own, it's the same. It's similar to all the arguments about cloning in FPV, isn't it, Blunty?
Sure. I'll just say, he did say in the chat, he was happy to show us how he did it. So if you want to email news@fpvknowitall.com with how you did it, we're happy to share any information you have or get it to the right people. Yeah. If you want to do that. So
yeah, pretty slick. Maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe it'll be, yeah. Thank you, Mo. The text looks so crisp. I can't tell if you're making fun of my bitrate that I lowered to prevent the network problems. Anyway, moving on to the next one. It's something, the world we live in, Blunty, where you can't get graphics cards and you got to go watch Twitch streams to show when things are in stock. Now we've got a website to help us find TBS Tango 2s, right?
Yeah, it does take quite a while because it's running the script, I think, the Python script every time you go to the website. But it literally goes and scrapes a bunch of known places where you can get Tango 2s, and it checks the stock through the actual website stock in each website, like through the Shopify API or whatever. That's what it seems like it's doing. So it's actually verifying stock of the thing. So it takes quite a while to load, but if you're looking for a Tango 2, this is pretty much the way to find it.
Okay, this is exciting. This was almost as exciting as when I was having frame drops and we were just sitting there. It's going to search. I should have clicked this link. I didn't realize it was going to take so long. There we go. Okay, let's see here. Uh-oh. One of them is in stock in Australia. That's not very helpful.
Australia.
Everybody else is out of stock. Okay, that's yeah. Okay. I mean, that's nice. People want to know where if Tango 2s are in stock. This is the way to do it, I guess. Cool.
Yeah.
Andrew Pulsifer, any good recommendations for FPV stores that ship to Canada? Isn't Rotor Geeks in Canada? There's a couple others that are in Canada.
Yeah, there's a few. I'm not not sure who. Maybe some people in the chat can post where they shop in Canada.
Yeah.
But I do believe Rotor Geeks is in Canada.
There are several in Canada. You could go to fpvexchange.com and see if anybody's got one for sale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prices are going to go up, man. They're going to get more expensive and more rare.
Yes. It's going to, I think consistently happen for quite a while. So if you guys need to buy stuff, if you guys want drone parts, I think we've been saying it for a while, but make sure you go buy your drone stuff as soon as you can, because it's only going to get harder to get for a while.
Didn't we see a story about Flywoo? The Flywoo is the cost of the Vista quads going up by $10. Did you see that story?
Yeah. They sent an email to people that the cost was going up by $20, and they were splitting half the cost with their customers. So they were asking people to pay $10 more for the pre-orders.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big I mean, just to change the price of a pre-order is kind of a big ask, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. The price of the Vista, not the Vista, the Nebula Pro?
Nebula Pro. I think it's $165 right now.
$20 more expensive. $185. No. Is that it?
I think it's one. I saw it today. I think on Cadex it was $165. So I'm not sure where it's going to end up at.
I mean, Telama42 says for a pre-order, not cool. I mean, I feel you. Yeah. Once you accept a pre-order, you feel. But on the other hand, there comes a time when I think you just look at your inventory and you go, I cannot honor these. So you could say, I'm going to return your money. And I mean, you have the choice. You could either give them $10 more, or you could say, no, give me my money back, and then you don't get your product. But especially when there's external conditions like we're experiencing, just the MCUs, the STM32 chips that are going into our flight controllers, the price has gone way up, and people are having trouble sourcing them. Everything is going to get way more scarce before it gets less scarce and ergo expensive.
Very true.
All right, continuing on. What's next, Blunty?
So Dave C. FPV has another cool little project he's got. Basically, everybody thought his clip-on 1S long range was pretty cool. So he decided to do it in 4S. He's like, let's see if we can make it work, and how bad does it fly? So he took 2 of these modules from AliExpress, like 2 Bay 18650 holders, soldered them together and made a 4S pack, and then tested that on his quad. So you only get, the same as 18650, so you get about 30 amps max discharge on this guy. But it seems to fly pretty well. He said he got a little bit extra sag, maybe a point or two of extra sag from where he normally was. He's just flying it, like a cool, easy quad.
Yeah,
but seems
this
like
would be
a neat little...
for cruising, not for like ripping.
Yeah, but this may be a neat little option for people who want to not, solder directly onto 18650s, who maybe don't have a, I'm blanking on the term, but
spot welder.
Spot welder.
Yeah.
Then they could instead just buy 2 of these trays and solder them right up.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you lose one of the cells, if one of them goes bad, or if you only have one of these, you want to swap cells out or something for chargers, you could do all that instead of using a normal battery charger. So pretty neat.
Yeah, I've definitely soldered to 18650s before, but if you don't have a spot welder, it's not good for them. The extra heat definitely isn't good for them. You're really supposed to do it with a spot welder, and this is a nice alternative. It's a good question. License to Drive is surprised that those battery tabs can handle 30 amps. I don't know. I mean, I guess they have a good contact area. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like they were doing okay in the test. I don't think they came down hot, so.
Yeah.
It's good.
Cool. All right, Dave C., always good for a piece of news. I do like the ability to build like a 4S or a 6S cell without having to solder it all up. I mean, that's the whole point of 18650s, is they're easy to charge and easy to swap out, so. All right, moving on. Betaflight 4.3, not here yet.
Yes.
It's coming soon. Hopefully. I thought it would be here by now.
Yeah, I figured we would at least see a release candidate, but I don't think it'll be too much longer, hopefully.
Anyway.
But part of that is because we're getting some really cool pull requests and feature additions right before it goes into RC.
Yeah.
So I wanted to shout out a couple different projects that people are doing. One is by Chris Thompson. CT Snooze has made a cool project here. Basically, they've changed the way that filters work for your sticks in Betaflight. So RC smoothing and feed forward. So essentially there were some bugs in feed forward that would drop packets. So those have all been cleared up. So there won't be any more drop packets or weirdness in feed forward. But basically now RC smoothing has been changed so that it's, I don't know the best way to say it, but it's basically like now in a lineup or a set of filtering. So you can apply as much or as little smoothing to the sticks as needed, and you can apply different filters to the sticks. So now basically you'll be able to go lower and better lower smoothing than you could before, or you'll be able to go like crazy high smoothing with auto smoothness. So it essentially like gives you crazy like cinematic smooth movements.
Yeah, that's I mean, you currently have the ability to adjust stick feel by adjusting the stick filtering. Mark Spatz has a video about that, but the takeaway from this is that the current way they're doing it has some downsides, and you may not want to go to extreme values, and that the new way of doing it will let you adjust the stick smoothing to extreme values, so you could get this hyper cinematic, super, it's like got extra delay, but who cares because you're trying to be super smooth and cinematic, or this sort of hyper sharp zero filter and not have these negative side effects.
Yeah, it seems pretty exciting, man. Chris Thompson's been doing a lot of work on that, and yeah, I think a lot of people who've been flying it, who've been doing the testing, have said it's really, really quite awesome and helps a lot with like flight. If you're a racer, you tune it down. If you're a freestyle pilot, you can tune it up a little bit. If cinematic, you tune it way up. So
yeah,
pretty neat.
Yeah, Ciotti likes a more of a softer feel.
Yeah.
For freestyle, thinks it's kind of like hyper smooth for your sticks. That's actually not as bad an analogy as you might think.
It's pretty good. I would say I started flying FatTech, and I am starting. As far as I know, they don't do RC smoothing, but it essentially gives you a similar feel, where you get this like extra latency that you don't think is good, but then suddenly like the latency builds confidence and feels better. And it's because like what you're inputting isn't exactly what the quad's doing, but it sort of knows what you want to do, I guess, like it doesn't actually know what you want to do, but because it's smoothed, your mistakes or your confusion or your whatever isn't as noticed in the sticks. So
Yeah, you absolutely can get used to flying with smoothing, or get used to any input with smoothing. It's going to limit your ability to respond quickly and to make sharp movements. That's exactly what it's doing, but it will smooth out like if you've ever used a camera with digital image stabilization and you're trying to frame the shot, in some sense, that digital image stabilization works against you as you start to move the camera. It kind of stabilizes away the move. But if the algorithm is good, it all sort of works together, and you get good stuff. Anything else from Betaflight 4.3 that's got your attention, Blunty?
yeah, so another guy, Karate Brat, has been working on this thing called the SDFT, which is a digital Fourier transform. So basically, Betaflight has this thing, for those who don't know, called the dynamic notch filter, okay? And the dynamic notch filter is basically looking for noise in a certain range, and then it's putting a notch of filtering on that spot. So it's saying like, hey, there's a bunch of noise here. So let's create a dynamic filter that's gonna move to the noisiest spot, and then it'll spread out a little bit, and then it'll like sit there and then move with the best noise. So it's gonna clear up those things with a single notch, and then it's kind of got a little width to it. So previously, basically, that notch to clear things up used a pretty big bin. So the bin is like how it divides up the frequency to look at each piece of the frequency to see where the most noise is. So previously, it was pretty big. And the other thing is the bin would be bigger at the bottom, and the bin would be smaller at the top.
Yeah, that makes it kind of like a V shape.
Yeah.
But you think of the notch filter as being a V like this, but you're saying it's more like a pyramid.
Like, if you put it in a line, like across the whole filter line, right? And you say, like,
I see. Because it's not a fixed number of hertz. It's as you go up to higher frequencies, it gets smaller. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the idea is that because you have a set Q value, you can't decide where to make it bigger when you go up to make it the same amount of filtering. So a lot of things have been changed. This new Fourier transform fixes a lot of those problems. So now the bins are about half the size or smaller. So you get way better sampling, and you can pick a way better spot. Now we're going to have up to 5 dynamic notches instead of just 1. So you can hit 5 different spots of issues. And now there's no longer a fixed Q value. Now, basically, you define the bandwidth, and it can figure out how big the notches should be as it moves up and down, how big those bins or notches should be.
So the takeaway is that dynamic notch filtering is going to get way more effective and way more precise. I was surprised to learn how few bins, like you hear, we've got these dynamic notch filters, and you think that they're like homing in on the noise and just slicing it out with a scalpel. And it turns out, I mean, it's better than nothing, but the bins that they're using are pretty wide, and it's not as precise as you might imagine. But now it's going to get more precise.
Yeah, now they've got new math that basically figures out a better way to do it. So pretty cool. And from what I've heard, this is a lot of the improvement people are seeing on 4.3, especially with noisy quads, are going to be from this. It's kind of similar in the way to how RPM filtering just figured out a way to like, hey, let's figure out some spots so we can knock out really easy, and then we can get rid of some of the useless filtering that's not like hitting exactly where we need it to be. So this is more dialing into that. So we can say like, hey, these 3 spots are bad. Let's knock out those 3 spots and we're good to go.
And this is going to be especially effective because, of course, RPM filtering targets the motor frequencies, right? That's its job. So then a lot of times you ask, well, what does dynamic filtering even need to do? And the problem is that you've also got, and as we learned from this video this fellow did about frame resonance, right? You've every frame, what's his name? Chris Rosser.
Chris Rosser, yep.
Yeah, every frame is going to have resonance frequencies, and there's ways to make that better or worse, but the dynamic filter could be very, very good at highlighting and targeting those resonance frequencies, which are not, you can't just do that with RPM filtering. So
yeah, and Talama points out also that notches actually kill off all the noise at a specific frequency, so they will just like cut that bin out and ignore it. Whereas some will reduce it or change the way the gyro sees it, basically, instead, or the flight controller sees it. So.
A bike too many in the Discord points out that smaller bins mean more CPU requirement on the controller. Bike too many, you're probably smarter than me about that, but I read a GitHub thread where Betaflight devs were arguing about the bin size and saying that very thing. And one of the things they talked about was tricky ways to optimize the algorithm and get more bins without actually overrunning the CPU.
Yeah, so my understanding is that that's part of this digital Fourier transform, is it's like a much more efficient way to find these smaller bins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
But
well,
yeah,
I'm
pretty
out of my
exciting.
depth. I'm clearly out of my depth, but that has been addressed or considered.
Yeah.
All right. Well, give me a release candidate, Betaflight devs. Let me fly it. I want to fly it. I want to try it.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, Holybro makes some great flight controllers and some great ESCs, but they are not perfect. There have been some issues in the past with the Holybro Tekko32 Metal F3 ESC, and it looks like there has been an issue with this batch, with a batch. This is a message that was seen on Facebook, which is supposedly from Holybro to vendors, saying basically stop shipping them. Oops.
Yeah. And that seems to be confirmed. If you find Race Day Quads ad, which is still up on Google, it actually links to a 404 page for that F3 Metal ESC. So it does seem it was taken down and it was pulled. Yeah. So if you have one of these, maybe keep an eye on any issues you're having. Maybe reach out to the vendors that you bought them from.
Is it? I mean, how do you know if you bought a Tekko32 Metal F3 ESC, 6 months ago? You're probably not affected, right? It's just this batch, right?
Most likely not. I believe the recall was for Rev B. Like one way back when you did the video on it was for the Rev B of the metal. But I know people have complained on and off for a long time that they have had various issues with their metal and RPM filtering or some different firmwares. So I would say if you're having any weirdness with an F3 metal, maybe reach out to the people you bought it from.
Okay. Yeah. Andrew Young says the Race Day Quads link is broken. I know, that's the point. That's the confirmation that the product was pulled, and the message, I mean, that link used to work, right, Blunty? You didn't just make that link up.
Yeah, and if you Google, you can actually still Google for the metal, Tekko F3 metal, and it will come up with those two ads from RDQ, but they both 404.
A bike too many, going back to the question about the bins. And Blunty, I can't believe we didn't mention this. A bike too many in the Discord points out that you can cheat the full DCT by doing partial butterfly filters, and you can also use the GHz filters once in the frequency domain. I feel so dumb right now for not mentioning
I mean, yeah. Next time.
Yeah, like I said, I'm out of my depth, but I assume they've thought about it. They're smart guys. I used to think that, I used to think that Betaflight devs or flight controller devs were like, they're pilots, right? And they're maybe programmers. I didn't realize how many of them are like experts in signal analysis and embedded systems and like actual experts, and not just like, hey guys, what if we filtered the D term?
I think it turns out that it takes those guys to build something like we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people take for granted what we have and like how far we are in the hobby and how well everything flies and all these settings they have to change and stuff. But the reason you can change them and stuff, I don't know, is because of the work people have done.
Yeah.
So a lot of smart people.
Alrighty, well, hopefully that gets sorted out. If you have a Holybro Tekko32 Metal F3 with a problem, you should at least ask if you're covered or if this is related, and we just want to let you know. Blunty, let's take a look at your lap from the WeBleed Whoops series. Actually, first, let's just put this entry document up. This is the WeBleed FPV Esports Whoop Racing Velocidrone. WeBleed FPV, a great vendor, and putting out this, raising this prize money. You can participate on Velocidrone. There's a link to this document in the video description, and you have given us a link to your best lap. Where are you on the leaderboard, Blunty?
So this is there's 3 tracks. This is track 1, and I'm 21st in the leaderboard on track 1 currently.
21st.
Yeah.
Out of how many?
I'm about 4 seconds behind. I don't know, a couple hundred, I think.
That's really good. At the same 21st out of like 400 is really good. At the same time, it really shows how at the top of the leaderboard, it's really stretches out. Because like if the winner, if the number one is 4 seconds faster than you, that's like an insurmountable gap.
It's
right?
It's a lot of time. I mean, I could see where I'm like losing time. I can obviously see where I need to improve, but it's just getting 3 laps consistently down is pretty rough.
Yeah. Well, how's your fastest lap compared to the winners, the number one guy's fastest lap? Are you able to compare that?
No, you can't see it, unfortunately. It's not like, it doesn't clearly show you, but I think mine's like 11.5 or something. It's my fast lap.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I'll give it a try. I always struggle with it when I start with a simulator. It takes me a while to get dialed in, and it's super frustrating. And I'm like, I should not have crashed there. It's a bad simulator. But I've been, I got some multi-GP gates shipped to my house, and for this race that's coming up, this Knoxville race, we got new gates, and so I set them up in my yard, and I was doing some practice for the race, and I was trying to go fast, and I was hitting gates, and I thought maybe the simulator's more accurate than I think.
Yeah, I think just in the sim, you're happy to throw a quad at a gate. I think seems like the main thing to me. Even with the whoops, I totally notice it. I'm much happier to go full throttle on a whoop in a sim versus in real life, because you crash a couple times and you don't get to fly your whoop anymore.
Yeah, it's Squishy7 says, is there some sort of video recording equipment? It would be way too easy to cheat this. Squishy, it's all handled inside Velocidrone. Velocidrone runs global competitions all the time, so Velocidrone is the record keeping equipment. There's no worry there. I was gonna say, I start out in the simulator with a racetrack, and I find it hard to fly, and I think this simulator sucks. And then I go out and I fly in my yard, and I'm like, I'm awesome, but I'm not racing gates. As soon as I start racing gates, and then as soon as I start trying to go fast, as long as I don't try to go fast, I don't crash. As soon as I start trying to go fast, then I start crashing. So maybe the simulator is better than I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe I'll try and put some laps in. Maybe I won't, because it'll make me look bad. We'll see. All right. Last topic. I promised in a video that I put up a couple days ago, I promised to follow up on the question of what the HD system in the FrSky X20 HD was going to be. So let's put the X20 HD. Let's put the FrSky X20 HD here up on stream. By the way, we have some super chats that have come in. I will not end the stream without getting to those super chats. I've just been putting them off. Don't worry about it. We will get them. The X20, well, the FrSky X20 HD doesn't exist yet, but here's the FrSky X20. And it's got this screen on it, and FrSky has said that there will be a 0 latency HD system built in. Basically, a digital HD receiver built into the radio. There's been a lot of speculation about who's going to make that. Blunty, you and I talked, I think we talked on the news last week about who we didn't think it was FrSky.
Yeah. Because
we didn't think FrSky invested that much money. We speculated that it was SharkBite because of the quote-unquote 0 latency, and because DiviMath is open source, right? Or not open source, but DiviMath is not locked into SharkBite.
From the rumors or what we've heard, then they're not really locked into that. So
yeah. There was some speculation this week that it was DJI, and I was a little taken aback by that speculation. I thought it was such a ridiculous claim that unless you had solid evidence that was happening, that just a little bit irresponsible to make that claim. And I made a post to that effect, and I said we're going to do some research and find out more. So I contacted DJI. I've contacted DJI because I've worked with them, and he said no. He said we are unaware of this product. We're not working with FrSky on it. In addition, FrSky said no, we're not working with DJI. Now, you reached out to Fat Shark to see if they would confirm whether it was them. What did they say?
Yeah, unfortunately, we did not get a response from Fat Shark about their involvement in the project.
Oh, well, I guess that's, it is what it is.
Expected, I think.
So it could still be SharkBite. It still could be DiviMath.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and the other problem is Fat Shark doesn't necessarily speak for DiviMath, so even if Fat Shark said it wasn't part of it, then it could still have been DiviMath. It's hard to know.
We should really ask Carl at Divimath. Maybe he'll talk to us. Although maybe he wouldn't want to confirm or deny it because it's like the product will come out eventually and then we'll know. My money, I would officially put money on it being Divimath doing a SharkBite compatible system with FrSky. Perhaps with Fat Shark's knowledge, perhaps without. That's where I would put my money.
Yeah.
Would you take that bet?
Yeah, I think so.
No, I mean, would you bet against me?
No.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
All right. All right, we're on the same page there. If anybody out there wants to bet me that it's going to be DJI, I will give you odds. I will give you odds. I don't know what the odds are. I think they're pretty good odds. I'm sorry. I just told you DJI said it wasn't them. Never mind. That's that. I will give you 100 to 1 odds that it isn't DJI. Give me your money.
So I do want to mention one thing real quick. Somebody mentioned that Fat Shark did not put out a development update. So I was going to look at that, and I believe they are correct. Fat Shark's original post was the 6th, and then the update was the 19th, and we expected an update by the 2nd, and we did not receive a Fat Shark update.
Oh, so they got the first one. It's like, that first weekend, that first week after April Fool's, or after New Year's, we go to the gym every day. And then like the second week, you're like, maybe not. We'll see if they do another one. Josh Fisk says, you mean it's irresponsible to say something and claim it to be true without it actually being true? Cough, cough, DJI V2, cough, cough. Josh Fisk, it is absolutely, that is absolutely something that you shouldn't do. So, for example, I had a direct quote from a DJI representative that the goggle would support USB out. I repeated that information. I sourced it. And then when it turned out not to be true, I said, if you bought I screwed up by not verifying that more thoroughly. I will take responsibility for that. I will pay for your restocking fee and shipping if you want to return the goggles, or if your vendor won't return them, I will buy them from you. So I made a mistake. I acknowledged the mistake. I corrected the information, and I put my wallet behind it to make right anybody who was affected by my incorrect information. Sorry, Blunty, I'm looking over at you, like I'm trying to suck you into this. So that's the way to handle. I acknowledge that you can't call me out and be like, oh, you make mistakes too. Yes, I do. I have. I mean, if you're going to criticize me for putting out incorrect information, you need to go back to something like the TBS Unify output power debacle, which was just a total F up on my part. Once again, I did my best to correct that. I took the video down, so the bad information was no longer being propagated. It doesn't correct the mistake that happened, but it does. It's at least I could do. And I put out a correction video, and I apologized. So when you put out incorrect information, the right way to handle it is, number 1, take down the incorrect information. Number 2, put out a correction. And number 3, try to make right anybody who was affected by the incorrect information you put out. Now, that's the standard I hold myself to. I feel like I have upheld that standard, maybe not perfectly, but I've done my best. And if I'm critical of other people who are putting out incorrect information, it is because they are not living up to that standard. One of the 3 things I mentioned has occurred so far. Anyway. Furthermore, sorry, Blunty, now I'm just going off. Furthermore, repeating a sourced claim from a company representative like that and saying this is what I've been told is a little different than speculating wildly.
Yes.
What about the time I signal boosted GME? If you take stock advice from me, you get what you get what you go. All right, guys. That's gonna do it though. That's gonna bring us to the end.
Yeah.
I got to get the super chats, Blunty. Before I do that, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it. Hopefully we'll see a SharkBite development update.
Okay.
A little better late than never.
Yeah. I had the rant this week, apparently, Blunty. Last week was your rant. Let me get these super chats out of the way. Big Data Pimp wants me, thank you for $2. Big Data Pimp wants me to remind everyone about the new Part 107 currency test. Blunty, why has this not been in the news? Shouldn't we have covered this today? Can we do that next week?
Sure.
All right, let's get that in there.
I got a message about 4 minutes before I went on that somebody linked me to the page. So
great. Oh, it's that fresh. I knew it had come. I wasn't sure the exact timing. OGK Turpid. I can't say this guy's name ever. Thank you for $1. Kali Drone Killer FPV. Thanks for a $40 super chat. That's a big one. Oh, it was released today. Okay, thank God. I saw a post from Vic Moss. No, Kenji Sugahara about it. And I was like, oh, when did this come out? Apparently it was today. Thank you, Kali Drone Killer, for $40. Joshua and Blunty, thanks for the good content. Just wondering if lowering the filters could cause a slight yaw twitch and the quad not disarming like a flyaway when I tried to land. I had to crash into the ground quick and unplug. Kali, there's nothing you should do with the filters that should cause your quad to not disarm. When you flip that switch, the quad should disarm every damn time. Filters could cause the quad to twitch if you move the filters to the right and have less filtering. Then it could cause them to twitch. If you move the filters to the left and have more filtering, then it would fix twitches. So, but if it didn't disarm, you got a serious problem with your receiver or your flight controller, and you have to sort that out.
Or your fail-safe setting.
Right.
Take the props off and try to fail-safe your quad, and make sure that it fail-safes and turns off. Because it sounds like maybe that would be the issue. Because like non-disarming stuff is pretty rare.
It's really dangerous, which is why it's so thoroughly tested. OGK Terp Kid says, thanks for clearing that up for me. OGK Terp Kid. That's much. It's not actually that much better. It's still. OGK Terp Kid says, does the 1200 milliwatt hack work with the V2 goggles? Yes, it does. With the air unit and the Vista, it does work. ZTag RC, thank you for a $20 super chat. They would like me to try the ZTag drone laser tag system. We'll have to see about that. I would need to have a friend to fly with me. So that's an impediment.
Yeah.
Michael Hill, thanks for a $2 super chat. That's going to do it, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Maybe I'll lower my bit rate. I don't know why. It's fine for weeks on end. And then suddenly it's just like, nah. Something is failing in my computer, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, gotta go back to 1.23.
There we go. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We'll see you next week at 6 p.m. I'll see you Sunday at 1 p.m. for my Q&A stream. Get subscribed. Make sure you get the notifications. People were reaching out to me and saying, can you tell me what time your streams are in Central European time? And I was like, just go to the YouTube page and just, it's right there. I don't know what time zone you're in. So just get subscribed, hit the notification bell, and we will see you there. Bye, everybody.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
All right.